No, you're actually not crazy. As you wake up every day and are appalled by the things you see, I want you to bear in mind a lot of Americans actually agree with you. Trump is already wildly unpopular. In fact, his overall approval rating in the most recent YouGov poll is now down to just 40%, with close to 60% disapproving of him. And that like top level number is good, but I think when you dive into the specifics, it's actually more positive. And there's a lot of bars there. Don't worry, you don't have to be able to read all those on mobile or whatever. I'll break down the important ones. First of all, I kind of do and kind of don't want to meet the 5% of Democrats that approve of what they're seeing. You're strange little creatures, you know that? But anyway, Trump is down to only 87% approval among Republicans, which is a high number, admittedly, but he would never quote that number on Truth Social. And importantly, only 28% of independents approve of what they're seeing. Basically, 1 in 4 of the people that are always up for grabs in elections, 1 in 4 like what they're seeing about 6, 7, 8 months into this administration. And the numbers overall, when you break it down by age, are bad. Less than 30% of young people like it. Only 1 in 3 of people up to like my age range. He's losing in every one of these categories. He's negative on, except white people overall. He's got a 1 point plus on overall white people. But as much as he talks about how black voters love him, he's at 8% approval. 8% approval at this point. Hispanic voters, 28%. So just please bear that in mind when you hear the hype about how he's fundamentally changed the calculus for elections and everything. And look, a lot can change by the midterms or by 2028. But at least as of right now, people don't like what they're seeing. And I want to put it in some historic context, because obviously Joe Biden was not popular, right? At the end of his term. I mean, he was so unpopular that they didn't take his chosen successor, Kamala Harris, and they instead went for Trump. Biden at the end of his term was 42% strongly disapproved. He was 14% strongly approved. Trump's basically at that already, not after 4 years of inflation and weak speeches and national chaos and all that. He's already disliked. He's at 47% strong disapproval, already worse than Biden after just a short period of time. And in this next chart, you're gonna be able to see how he's fallen apart in approval amongst all groups. Overall, adults, Republicans, and Democrats, everybody hates what they're seeing. But if you listen to his surrogates, it's all still peaches and cream. Take a look.
The American people saw through the fecklessness of the Democrats and chose Donald Trump over then Hillary Clinton. They decided to enter into this war against Donald Trump and against the Republican Party, weaponizing our government to do it. So I'm very happy that the American people saw through all of this and they decided to actually save our republic, save our democracy from the insane radical left. This is why Donald Trump is riding high with all-time high approval numbers from his time in public office, because he's getting the job done and delivering for the American people.
Riding high, man, the weak requirements there for riding high, is it 40%? 40%. Can you not read the poll? Are you choosing not to read the poll? Do you not care about the poll? And I know, Jackson, what they'll say. Well, those are Democrat polls. You can't trust them. Bear in mind, that last thing we showed you of how he's fallen apart, the YouGov did all of those. He was higher before. Why would they have done back in February the higher approval rating if they were just trying to bone him or whatever? He was doing better. Now he's not. And so the lies just fall apart. Like, they have to pretend that what he's doing is popular, but they can see the polls and they know that it's not. Jackson, what do you think?
Well, I think that Donald Trump, unfortunately, we had to go through this a second time for people to remember how bad he was the first go round. I think it says a lot about people's just general sense of dissatisfaction with the establishment itself, and the Democratic Party's failures really scream loudly here. But the thing is that, as goods and commodities continue to become more expensive, as people realize things like the big beautiful bill, what that's taken from them, and who it's given more to, not just with the loss of millions of people losing access to Medicaid over the next 10 years, but also, like $800 million being cut from this research and $1 billion being cut from that research and cutting Meals on Wheels. And, these types of things are hitting people every day. Like, you can't ignore if you're hungry. You can't ignore the feeling of not knowing how you're going to pay for things that you need to pay for. So, Trump and his minions can continue to lie and say that, oh, he's more popular than ever. But that's just going to continue to sour on the public the more time goes by, because he's so thoroughly incapable of addressing any of America's problems, let alone international issues.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they're going to see the chaos abroad. They were mad at Biden, I think deservedly so, for not doing basically anything about what's happening in Gaza. Well, everything's objectively far, far worse than it was. They see the lies fall apart of how he's going to deal with Ukraine and everything. He's not. And he can talk about how I stopped 6 wars, no, 7, 10 wars I stopped, but they don't see that. That's not what it looks like. It looks like you're actually starting wars. And more important than all that, like I could put together a list of the top 10 things that I think should make people hate this administration, and not necessarily like a majority of the population would agree with me on their priorities. But the things that they would prioritize are maybe worst of all. As you point out, it's the prices. Like, produce is like 38% more expensive than it was just a couple of months ago. Beef is at literally an all-time high. Every product is more expensive than it was. And this is likely to be looked back on as the easy period of the Trump administration when it comes to prices, because a lot of these tariffs haven't really kicked in. Corporations stocked up a bunch of product. They found other ways to temporarily defer the cost, but they're not going to be able to do that forever. They're going to burn through their stockpiles, and then they're going to start passing on even more of the price increases to consumers. And we already know how directly people can link inflation to disapproval of the regime. We saw it in the election that was just last year. And Trump has decided to double down on that in a way that I think is going to be devastating for him in the elections. Yeah, coffee prices are up too. And why not? I mean, Trump's got to save Bolsonaro, I suppose. Now he's talking about 200% tariffs on China because they won't give us magnets. It's chaos, and it's not helping anybody. If you enjoyed that, make sure that you never miss another video by subscribing. And if you want a little more, consider hitting the join button and becoming an actual member. But you're probably wondering, why the hell would I do that, John? First off, calm down. The stakes in this are very, very low. But also, when you click the join button and you become a member, you get access to bonus content that I make every week, and it's a ton of fun. You get access to tons of custom emojis and more besides that. By the way, if you join at tier 3, you even get access to a monthly member hangout with myself and other awesome people, and we always have a great time. By the way, you'll get all that going forward, but you also unlock years of the back catalog. That is literally 100 or more bonus clips, top 10 lists, debates, and more. What are you waiting for? Click the join button below. Your support powers our show, and we couldn't do it without you. Or at the very least, I wouldn't really want to try. Viewers like you keep me here. So thank you in advance for joining.